Hey everyone, welcome back to the North American LCS Summer Split. I am David FLICKR along with Sam, Kobe, Hartman, Kensler, Saurus, Rex. Why not? Either way, we're heading into our fourth match featuring Team Dignitas and Gravity, and Dignitas are riding a surge of momentum after taking down defending champions TSM and extending their winning streak to the longest they've had in over a year.
Yeah, and you could really see how energized Dignitas were on stage after that win. The team did play well, and they showed a lot of backbone with their new jungler Helios in the mix. His first game back, and they take the victory over the first place team from last split. Despite slowly losing ground to TSM, though, Dignitas showed some killer instincts. You know, they struck when there was opportunity, taking that Baron when they were down, and then also by taking the game after that mid-Sivir push.
Yeah, so pretty impressive stuff by Team Dignitas overall. Gravity, meanwhile, are out to prove that despite their loss to Counterlogic Gaming, they still belong in the top of the standings.
Yeah, I mean, they lost their game yesterday, and it was in large part due to that disastrous early game team fight in which they gave up 3 kills to COG by like the 5-minute mark. And a big part of that is because of the miscommunication. We saw it still may be a problem with them. You know, Move maybe not on the same page with the rest of the team, and Bunny Fufu opting for their flash in. Basically, they still have the same kinks to work out that we were looking at the beginning of the week. But that game, it was not a complete stop. They had a hefty deficit and were still making plays. So there are still some bright spots here for Team Gravity, and they did look really good in week 2. So this is going to be a continuation of the test. You know, will we see some more consistency from this team?
And really, both these teams have done such a darn good job of improving throughout this split. Spring versus summer for both these teams have been largely very different teams overall. But for now, we're going to check out the starting lineups. On the blue side is Team Dignitas with Gamsu in the top lane, Helios in the jungle, Shifter in mid, Core JJ on AD carry, and Kiwi Kid on support.
And on the red side, it's Gravity. Up top is Haunser. In the jungle, Move, mid Keen, AD carry Altec, and support Bunny Fufu.
So as we were saying, these teams heavily improving. Gravity, it's actually, I think the most impressive to me is how quickly they learned a strong sense of macro level shot calling with their old shot caller gone. I think that was an incredible surge of skill from Bunny Fufu, specifically the man who actually dictates what goes on around the map. It's just the stuff you expect to take much longer, the more interpersonal, the micro level sort of shot calling where someone's maybe on the wrong page for 20 seconds. And if that gets shored up, Dignitas really does contend for the throne.
And, you know, when we always give so much credit to shot callers, it's the rest of the team as well. It's all about feeding information and the efficiency which with the rest of the team can communicate as well. So definitely credit to both of these squads, actually, especially, you know, Team Dignitas as well, bringing in Helios. Yeah. Definitely a strong voice. Always has been as far as the shot calling role goes. Now, in the bans phase, I am definitely looking at Sivir. Whenever I see Team Dignitas, I do, but also Gravity. You know, Altec, 4 out of 5 games he's played Sivir as well. So going to be a contested AD carry between these two. Kalista probably going to be the counterpart there.
So it's interesting, yeah, both these teams with some of their only losses being to Counterlogic Gaming. We know they're pretty strong, and they know that initiating fights and being tenacious has been a very strong thing. Back with old Gravity, they had a lot of success with things like Vi and Fizz and dabbing into the back line. Dignitas having a good sort of front line in the hard engage of Kiwi Kid worked for them as well. But Sivir off the table, Twisted Fate and Urgot away from Keen. So Dignitas removing multiple engage tools from Gravity. Meanwhile, Gravity pretty much go through the expected bans. You can see the 3 bans, each of them over half the games. Rise, LeBlanc, and Alistar obviously heavily contested, which does leave up Kalista, though, for Dignitas.
Right, you know, Sivir banned out. Kalista, there's the #1 pick. And Alistar also being banned out. Bottom lane looks pretty strong here for Dignitas. No Alistar, though. Nautilus being locked in. Very aggressive support as well. A lot of kill pressure there. Hard to land the skill shots onto Kalista. As we saw in the last game, though, 1 anchor toss onto Kalista mid-jump can earn you a victory.
It's like the worst feeling in the world. You end up jumping into a skill shot, and you can't stop yourself anymore. You've already left the ground. It's not like the old platformers where you can move in midair and like turn back around.
It's like playing fiddlesticks after you start channeling your ult already.
At least you can stop that one. Done that maybe once or twice, flashed earlier, something like that. But Gragas does come through, so Move gets a chance to play one of the more popular and common junglers. He hasn't actually played it yet this split, but he gets the Gragas. We can see how he does so far. Alizar off the table, the Nautilus gets picked up, a lot of smart things there. Now Dignitas to round out some more of their lineup. Neither Gamsu nor Shifter took a lot of bans, so most of what they want is up.
I'm actually very excited to see move on a champion, not Jarvan, you know, one of these actual power pick junglers, to see what he can do with it, because he's been forced onto later round picks as far as picking up jungle champions for Gravity. We'll see what he can do versus the Rek'Sai. Of course, the two premier early game junglers using Cinder Hulk for each of them, so they both scale fairly well to the late game.
And what's interesting to me is, the reason I said wow is Altec literally insta-locked Tristan on his pick right there. We might see another mid rumble, but yeah, you were talking to me actually during the last game about how you've seen Tristana into Kalista being a specific matchup pick.
Yeah, exactly. They were talking a lot about, you know, her turret pushing power, but in China specifically, did see it a couple times directly into Kalista. So I'm really excited to see if they do actually get matched up into the same lane, how they will play it out, because you know, there are some play patterns that you can use with Tristana. Her being more bursty now, you can actually, her damage is also front loaded. You can take advantage of that with Kalista, who has to wait for the Ren stacks to stack up to be able to win a trade. And
especially the fact that Buster Shot can knock her out of Rend activation range can make those really some one-sided trades here.
Yeah, as far as duo lanes to go up against, though, Kalista Annie, really, really painful. So if they want to go with the Tristana Nautilus into it, this is definitely going to be the test, because that is a very, very high kill pressure duo matchup.
Absolutely, and it's going to be a fun matchup as well, just because both of these duo lanes are known for strong laning phases. Altec and Bunny Fufu versus Corjay, Jate, and QB Kid. These guys definitely able to take wins in the 2-on-2. Dignitas have locked in their whole lineup, and it is pretty much around the Shifter Azir. It's a big tank wall, a lot of engage, and a huge amount of damage coming out from the Azir mid lane.
Yeah, I mean, nothing, you know, surprising from Shifter. It's pretty much been Azir or Kog'Maw from him. Likes to be long range damage. Very, very relevant in the late game. High DPS from him. And that's going to pair really well with Kalista. So they have dual threats there. Gravity, though, all around. They've got that top lane carry potential from Hauntzer, who has really stepped up for the team. We pretty much never mentioned him last split, but he's actually been a really big part in this turnaround for Gravity. We mentioned all the new players they brought in, but the existing players are stepping up as well.
So we're going to see Jarvan after all. This may be top lane. So it's either top lane Gragas or it's mid lane Rumble. Or mid lane Jarvan.
Keen is on the team, so it's probably a mid lane Rumble, I'm thinking.
All right.
Because that's what they've done before. They can't keep switching it around. Keen will play whatever he wants. Maybe he'll do Jarvan mid. Maybe he'll do Gragas mid.
Yeah.
But
I mean, as we think about the matchups, like, we see a lot of Aurelia into Azir. It's something that's come up fairly recently. FLICKR did it. We also saw a similar matchup. Alex Itch of Misfits qualified for the North American Challenger Series, playing Aurelia into Ziggs. And now we might see this mid lane Jarvan in AD burst backline reach against a I want to be safe siege mid. Jarvan ulti will bypass the Azir ulti, so we can actually jump over the would-be knockback to get onto the back line, and it is going to be, after we've passed the lock-in time, top Rumble, mid lane Jarvan for Keen.
Keen never fails to disappoint. We'll see if the execution backs up the theoretical matchup, though, because assassinating Azir is not quite so easy. You have to all in, you have to be wary of jungle pressure, you have to have vision to make a play like that. But if you can pull it off, they do have Gragas, one of the premier early game junglers, to try and match Rek'Sai.
It's going to be a whole bunch of fun. Either way, load up to Twitter and let us know who you think will come out ahead of this game. Tweet at LOL Esports. Use either hashtag DIGWin or hashtag GVWin, and let us know who you think is going to be taking this one down. Dignitas have a chance to tie back for first place, and if Gravity wins, they get within one game of that spot, one game behind Team Liquid. It's going to be a wonderful match.
All right, so Shifter opting for the barrier, of course, when facing melee assassin mid lane. Gonna try and help himself not get completely popped in one combo. Jarvan does have a very, very potent early combo, especially with his passive, one slap percentage health damage.
Yeah, so we'll see if Helios then can be around to counter gank and keep that lane afloat, because Bunny and Fufu says that adding Helios to Dignitas is a good step in fixing some of the team's issues.
Dignitas, I think they have some communication problems and shot calling problems, and I know Helios was a huge help on Winterfox for those aspects, and especially because he can speak Korean, it'll help Gamsu and CoreJJ a lot of times too, so I think they fit in really well.
Yeah, I mean, he came over in the first game in the North American LCS versus TSM. They take a victory.
Yeah.
So very, very good debut for Helios on Team Dignitas. See if he can back it up in game number 2.
Minions have spawned.
I think it's definitely likely. So as we get ourselves into level 1, I love what Keen does with League of Legends. I just want to read something out. So I'm gonna list champions, and you tell me which lane this is in. Fizz, Malphite, Twisted Fate, Urgot, Rumble. What lane does this man play? Mid lane. Oh, and Jarvan.
Which of those champions?
Yeah, all of those champions in sequential order.
Those are 5 champions. This is not a good test here, Freak. The clarity is not there. Helios starting in his jungle though. He's got Annie to back him up. Help screen for him because the lane swap was called. We'll see how CoreJJ and Kiwi Kid do in the 2 versus 2 that we were looking for.
And we see pretty much default starts all around. Gamsu does take down the Wolf Camp, no big surprise, then runs his way down to the base. TP's in with an extra ward, so Gamsu shouldn't be easily gankable. Will have a small experience lead over Hanser. Both junglers started top side, so level 3 will bring them likely to the bottom side of the map.
Early level 2 from Keen as well. Going to try and shove Shifter in. The way that Jarvan is able to shove versus a ranged matchup is trying to land your Q poke through the minion wave, but also hit the champion. Because there is not fall off for the Jarvan Q. The only problem is, as I said, this is a risky matchup. If you're using your Q constantly to shove the lane and poke your enemy champion, you do not have the built-in escape, and you will have to rely on your summoner spells to get you out.
I'm actually surprised that Shifter went Doran's Ring in the matchup as well. It just feels like if you had the sustain to make sure you don't get chunked out by Jarvan, you're guaranteed to survive the matchup, as Keen did here in the melee versus ranged. But so far, he's just happy to chug flask charges and keep the push going. We'll see if he ends up pulling some more attention from Helios, as the Rek'Sai has just hit level 3, recalled back for a Trailblazer, and is heading back across the map.
All right, focus on the Scuttle Crab here for move. No surprise there. This has been a hallmark of this guy ever since he came to the North American LCS. His #1 priority has been clearly vision control for his team. The other very telling aspect of his game has been that he tries very, very hard to give away the last hits for his ganks to his solo laners. Right here, I feel like just because the movement that Shifter took up topside, he thought that he was seen. Decides to stick around, cancel his recall there for a second. But anytime we mention all these junglers that like to go for early ganks, go for the level 3 move, we also have to mention the drawbacks of it, which are, of course, the hard farm route. If you're the opponent here, Helios does get a small lead and an extra level here as he's back out on the field quicker, didn't wait around in the brush for the gank.
Just rushing the experience here, and it's going to be a definitely high-level Rek'Sai. Could be a very big threat. I think he does need some tank stats to be relevant in this game. There's a whole bunch of frontline damage that could come through. Sit and Rumble equalizers could make Rek'Sai's life pretty short here. But we are on just the smallest of gold leads for Dignitas overall. Now the top lane matchup has equaled out. The very first levels, it was CoreJJ and Kiwi Kid getting a really early push in. Now that the lane is equalized, we can see the matchup happen, but Helios is already here for a counter gank if something happens.
Yeah, I actually really like the matchup because early on, the Kalista passive with Annie, if you both land auto attacks, gives you a huge amount of presence in the lane. The range advantage for these two, they should be able to bully early, use that percentage damage. But as Tristana gets to level up, she can go for the all-ins with Nautilus because her damage is so front-loaded. Just pop your E on them, rapid-fire a couple attacks, and then back off before Kalista has stacked up enough Ren stacks to actually equalize the damage.
And just like the Alistar matchup I talked about earlier, Nautilus needs his actual skills to do anything in the first place. Like, level 1 Annie is basically already Annie. She charged her pass with the fountain, presses W. Surprise, I stun people. I'm still the same champion. Nautilus needs the hook, might even need the shield, and always learns E in the first place. So
Yeah.
equalizes out. We'll see it play out from here.
Yeah, both duo lanes playing fairly cautiously around jungle pressure, I feel like, right now. Because the early stages of the game, obviously, no ward coverage. Here we do have our first jungler interaction, as we can see. Move gets the barrel off, but Helios is slightly ahead as far as the camps are concerned because he spent a little bit less time waiting in the brush.
Seeing this bot lane fight instead there. Yeah, Helios half a level ahead right now, 5 versus 4.5. Gamsu misses the cannon, oh no!
Teleport back up for him now, though. So teleports have been equalized for the solo side laners.
And then we haven't seen them pressured much, even though the initial ward timed out from Gamsu and Hanser is just shoving into the lane over and over again. He hasn't really gotten any wards from move, and we haven't seen Helios even try to show up.
I really feel like, yeah, the way that it's going is fairly good for Gravity. There's a little bit of harass, but CoreJJ does not commit with Kiwi Kid there. Just because Jarvan's been able to get to the early pickaxe here for extra damage for the burst combo to time with his level 6. Here's the collapse from Helios. Defensive ward from Gravity will see it, but they get zoned out from a bunch of minions. The Kalista Annie not level 6, so the tower dive much less potent.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be strong at all. I mean, 555 is maybe not that much damage. Kiwi Kid taking a whole bunch of pain, and he's on the wrong side of the turret. That's first blood over to Altec, and now they go in, and Helios going to be the second to die. Over greedy dive by Dignitas.
So usually you respect an Annie Kalista dive like no other duo lane, but they're not level 6. They don't have the ability to juggle aggro on the turret. They don't have the extra CC, and that was a really rushed decision. Whoever is making the calls, you know, maybe they felt forced into it because Helios had the timing to make it up there and they were trying to make the move with that minion wave, but that was a very reckless call. They did not have any information on moves whereabouts. Teleports were both up, as we said. So interesting early blunder there from Dignitas, and Gravity get a very nice early lead for themselves. First blood and an extra kill.
And Hanser buys an early home guard boots off of this. I guess he sees, well, my TP's down. Gamsu didn't teleport. He's got to kind of play around the fact that maybe a dragon fight happens sometime in the next 4 minutes that he can't react to. Home guards may help that, but just an interesting investment all the same. We'll still go towards haunting guys a bit later. We'll see if that manifests into much. Gamsu with the TP advantage. The lanes all swap to the bot lane, and maybe Dignitas tries for round 2 with a 4v3.
I feel like this is the opportunity for Altec to go all in with that Triss combo we were looking for and try and chunk CoreJJ, because this is the recall. He does not have lifesteal yet, so he'll have to chug through his potions. If Triss can get off that E, couple of rapid fire auto attacks into an ult, that's a huge amount of harass that will stick. Oof. But he's just going to shove the wave, use that AoE damage to get towards the turret, and as Jet said last game, utilize Tristana's turret pushing power. Maybe they will get some damage while the minion wave is shoved up.
Yeah, it's likely to be very strong here. Pink ward goes down, and it's awkward though because Gravity, despite having this lead and the fact that they have the bottom lane push advantage, they actually can't reliably go for Dragon. Normally a team like this, you'd see them probably pressure that objective down, but again, that TP disadvantage slows them down for the next 3 minutes here. Also talking about Tristana, because we don't see her very much, I'm tracking the skill orders there. Piglet had gone 4 points into explosive shot and then max rapid fire, so it was like 5-1, 4-2 was the ability numbers. Right here, Altec's only got 2 points in explosive shot and is already maxing rapid fire. So they're prioritizing the attack speed by like level 12 or so, and even earlier in this case.
What's also interesting is Gravity's attempt. Oh, I don't know if he meant to do that on the minion, but he got the explosion damage. And this is going to be a much easier dive than we saw.
Bunny Fufu has aggro, and he's getting exploded. The Annie stun, plus the turret damage will not quite take him down. 2 kills come through for Gravity off a quick dive.
Drink your potions, kids. Bunny Fufu able to survive there. And they'll get the turret on top of it just because of how quickly Triss can blow them up. The other thing that you mentioned, about the dragon, yes, they they're not able to get it right now because of the teleport disadvantage, but it's not really that big of a deal for this squad. Their main way of winning the game isn't really Dragon control. They've got great siege. They've got Rumble, Gragas, and Tristana all great at turrets. Dragon control would be optimal.
Yeah.
But it doesn't hurt them too much. Not to grab it.
It seemed to work really well. We didn't see Gamsu TP in to stop the bot lane dive. So the fight for the turret went totally okay. We didn't see Shifter really show up either, and it seems like Keen being able to bully out this mid lane matchup from level 1. I mean, Shifter missed 5 CS in the first 2 waves because of the turret push here, and then we still had Keen roam out of the lane first. Tiamat's done, going towards maybe Ravenous Hydra. Dive in the top lane is going to go in towards Hanser, but they're getting Dragon for it. And not the best equalizer.
No, that was a very bad equalizer. Definitely a misclick. Probably was trying to flash that way and clicked his R on accident, I'm going to say. But regardless, definite misplay there.
That wasn't, though.
Taking Kiwi Kid out of harm's way, saving him from Keen. Yeah, we haven't seen Keen go all in on Shifter for the burst. He just has been straight up winning the Jarvan Azir matchup with the threat of the all in.
It's beautiful to watch. So Dignitas do manage to equalize, though. They managed to capitalize the top lane turret after the kill as well, making that dive absolutely worth it in the first place. But we're sitting on an 1,801 Dragon lead right now for Gravity. I want to see now where they put the rest of their members. Dragon off the map, TPs don't matter as much. Where does the Tristana Siege go?
Well, looks like mid lane so far. He's going to be able to take the Raptor camp fairly quickly due to his explosion. And they're just going to leave the Jarvan split pushing. Honestly, Keen is a very, very quick split pusher. Rushing the Tiamat for extra burst for his combo also means he can smash a wave. There's so much wave control with this Gravity squad. They've got, the solo lane Tiamat builder with a Tristana that they've been able to shift over towards mid lane.
And speaking of shifting over towards mid lane, Helios going to get knocked in by the explosive cask, and then he's going to try to flash into a tunnel away as best he can, and oh my gosh, Helios might just get out. Just kidding. Flash and the body slam means Hanser gets the kill with the equalizer. Gravity now 5-1.
Gravity just seems so calm and collected this game. Waiting for the first move from Dignitas, turning it around on them, and then taking that lead, pushing it air into the mid game, and very decisive moves from them. Both moves from Gravity result in kills as well as turret pressure. This is also going to culminate in a blue steal.
Man, they even had it timed. Move already had the barrel rolled out before that one. There's the Smite W attack. Gravity just absolutely in control here, and we're seeing Gravity the way we expect. Their macro game sense very strong.
Gamsu does not have flash, by the way. So going to be a rough exit for him. No ultimate from Hanser, though, as we saw.
Okay, so just some damage dealt. Gamsu pops a short cooldown ultimate, walks away. That's going to be fine. As you called it, Altec will be stationed in the mid lane here, and of course he's safe 1v1 against Shifter, so him just kind of chilling and clearing back and forth is totally okay, and it allows Bunny, Fufu, and Keen to run around the map, go be playmakers, and Altec can keep this wave totally safe.
Yeah, definitely scary to have that full AD Jarvan, Hydra completed, running around the map. Your bottom lane are very susceptible to getting 100-0 killed. Kalista, if you can land the EQ, which can be difficult, she's dead, because your ultimate is guaranteed and your Tiamat activation is guaranteed. Your single attack with the auto attack passive from Jarvan is enough to 100% a Kalista before Bloodthirster's completed. She doesn't have the shield. See if Hanser can do it, though.
I actually played a Jarvan versus Kalista matchup in Team Builder. I fought against a master tier top laner who played Kalista. I won because you just one-shot people.
Builder.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, right? But yeah, you just one-shot the kid. It's miserable. Basically, you just play around the hop, because once they've picked the direction and start moving, they can't change it. So if you're quick enough, you're like, he hop left, go EQ, and they have to flash him to die. And it's just the short time window you have to have your guaranteed skill shots land. Move will grab the scuttler. Helios now going to fight him around. Shifter tries to show up, cannot quite land the knockup though, and move gets out.
You know, it's actually funny. We didn't mention it during Champion Select, but Gamsu is also the other solo laner who likes to play the full AD Jarvan to run around and pop AD carries early on.
That's true.
So it was even a takeaway from Gamsu. Here goes Altec into the turret though.
Altec does summon her heal. Merlinomicon cuts it in half, but 300 health on Tristana. Not a very happy out this time. Flash the way to...
Count to 10, see if he can get...
15, I think, now.
Well, keep counting then.
9, 10, 11.
All right, he flashed.
Oh, he's dead. So it's CoreJJ though. Monster takes him out. Both AD carries fall off the map. Solo laners take him out, 1 for 1. Dignitas finally get back on the board a bit more. Nice stun to Buddy Fufu. Moves around Helios to land the knockup. Anchor toss out of the wall. Good explosive cast to buy a bit more time, but Gamsu is on the chase. Dignitas really wants this, but so does Keen. The duck comes through. Down goes Annie. Helios about to say goodbye, Os. Contra gets another kill. Who flashed?
Everybody's flashing, freak. Gamsu's already used it, so he can't get out with it.
Gamsu's in the front. Not doing a whole lot of damage though. Shifter's kind of alone at this point. CoreJJ stuck in base. No fight possible for Dignitas. I do not know a Gamsu by the TP into this one. Nothing gained for him. Another 2-0 for Gravity.
Ooh. Yeah, the mid game going swimmingly for Team Gravity. Another display of the power of that mid-game full AD Jarvan there from Keen jumping over the wall to turn this around. So there's the stun. They try and get, 3 members under the turret. Maybe they can focus Bunny. But Bunny still had flash this entire time, by the way. He never even uses it. There's the combo. We talked about the vulnerability of the bottom lane members to a solo lane full AD assassin, and we see it there. Gamsu going to try and flash over, but at this point they've lost too many members. They do not have an AD carry there, so Sand Soldiers by themselves not going to be able to fend off the entire team, or not going to be able to kill anyone.
All right, so it's getting worse and worse for Team Dignitas here, who sit almost 5,000 gold behind as Gravity continues to find some great fights. Hanser, we keep talking about it, but he's 4-1-0 on this Rumble. A huge carry force for the team, setting up basically everyone. Looks like we're going to see Black Cleaver coming next for Keen, I'm guessing, and this AD Jarvan definitely in a good spot this game.
Well, now he's level 11, so that's
Yeah.
going to add extra Cataclysm damage to his combo. Definitely in a good spot, as you say. He's also, looks like he's going to go for that Black Cleaver next, which is great because the full combo from Jarvan, if it doesn't 100% you, it is going to shred all of... Do they really want to do that? I feel like if you've already used the Kalista ultimate, if Kiwi Kid does not have his stun already charged up, somebody's going to get one shot.
And it looks like Dignitas chickens out after all, so nothing gained in this one. Buddy Fufu able to anchor toss away. Looks like he's totally safe to play the ward game here. Is not able to be punished. Keen feels comfortable as well here, and so Dignitas, the question is, how do you get yourselves back into the game where you're so far behind, aside from just waiting for Azir to power up?
I'm going to say they need to make a flash play from Kiwi Kid. That's what Dignitas always turn to in their times of need. They really need a big play from Annie. And this is the type of character that Kiwi Kid loves because it's a game-changing character. He can turn the tides of an entire game by landing a multi-man stun. They would have to take the opportunity when they have numbers advantage as well, though, because they're so far behind. They need more than just an AoE stun. They also need to have the numbers advantage in that scenario.
Well, we'll see if they can get the rotations to make that one happen. Right now, no teleport for Hanser, so he can't join the fight, and maybe someone mispositions and that opportunity opens up for the blue team here. Meanwhile, Gravity have continued to make some very good choices. They've controlled dragons. They've got 2 of these so far. Altec is still on push duty in the mid lane, and it making very slow progress, but that turret's losing health every once in a while. But otherwise, playing a pretty slow game. The thing is, I don't know if Gravity... Oh, there's the... What?
Not the play I was looking for.
What?
He sees... saw a ghost. Hello?
What? Maybe that was a recall that we missed. It might have been, actually.
No pause, so... User error?
Hold on, I'm going to go back and see.
All right.
The recall.
I'll take over the play-by-play then. Keen goes for Kiwi Kid.
All right.
Taking the baby away from another baby. Pretty easy Kalista ultimate there.
Yeah, he was half a second away from getting Altec. Altec was recalling right.
Okay. So Altec was there.
Unfortunately, full whiff on this one. Hanser now getting caught out by Gamsu. They do find something to catch, and if only Kiwi Kid had a stun, maybe they would have killed him. But of course, he wasn't in range for anyway. Mid lane just keeps getting cleared back and forth, and we are seeing Dignitas try to make those plays. It's how they went against TSM. They finally just found the engages that would work for them, and it did close the game out. But this time around, Gravity have been very safe in their movements, or safe enough at least.
It is going to be really scary. We keep talking about the solo laners and how strong this Rumble is right now, how strong this Jarvan is right now, but Altec on Tristana has the Infinity Edge plus Zeal and Zerker Greaves, extra crit with the Brawler Gloves just to the Bloodthirster. That is a huge, huge DPS discrepancy between AD carries. And he has the burst potential as well to add on to anybody who gets caught by Jarvan. So,
I mean, no one's really even built armor. Gamsu's got a Visage and a makings of a Righteous Glory. Helios just has Ninja Tabby. No one's going to survive Tristana damage, especially when she's this far ahead in items. So you're absolutely right. Level 13, kind of the biggest she's ever going to spike in this game, and she's got items to back it up. Now CoreJJ going to get body slam flashed. Explosive Cask actually gets him away from the team, and now he's going to be safe under his turret as Gamsu shows up to buy a bit of time. Maybe a bit overzealous as Bunny Fufu will get killed for his hubris.
Or Dignitas can wait for a misplay from Gravity. They do get a kill for it. Did have to burn a teleport and still lost the turret mid, so they're still bleeding, but they did get something back there. That was a good flash from CoreJJ. To reposition himself for that Gragas ultimate to survive and get under the turret. But Flash no longer available for Kalista. May be able to punish that.
Well, it looks like as Bunny Fufu respawns, nothing's going to get punished by much. Couple CS lost the mid lane, but really, Keen again goes in on a Helios EQ Hydra into auto attack, and out goes the fish out of water.
All right, Hanser going to get some deep wards for himself so he can continue pushing in on the Maokai. Zonya's completed for him as well, so he has more team fighting potential. Teleport discrepancy as well means that not only does he have a strong team fight presence when he teleports in, but he can continue to shove Gamsu up here and create the numbers advantage for Gravity rather than for Dignitas. See if he gets caught though, because Kiwi Kid does have Moby Boots. He could take the long way around behind.
Yeah, no distortion yet for him though, so it may be a long road upwards. Kiwi Kid is going to be building towards, I'm guessing, Righteous Glory off the double Ruby Crystal. So we'll add more move speed to the Arsenal, but not the one that reduces the flash cooldown.
All right, so Gravity going to play the game fairly cautiously. Just control that neutral objective. You know, all the outer turrets are down. They don't really feel like pressing. They could pull a split push and try and utilize Tristana's, turret damage, but they can just control the dragon. As you said, they've already got 2, so although it wasn't, rushed dragon and won't be extremely quick, they can easily take the consecutive ones and, force Dignitas into increasingly worse position.
Yeah, if they do it on cooldown the rest of the game, they get Dragon 5 at 36 minutes, and that's a decent clip for an endgame push, and probably by then they can chance a Baron as well. So if Gravity wants to play it super slow, that can work for them, although they are pretty far ahead right now, making me think that they should be taking moderate risks in this mid-game. They have been taking Dragons with that, and we've been seeing them look for dives and pushes, but we'll see if they can get any more than 3 turrets in the near future.
10 seconds. So we'll say each dragon respawn 6 minutes, 10 seconds.
Okay.
All right.
So 36-30 for the...
That's how long it took him to finish it. All right, here goes the call, though. They got the dragon, and they're going to move down. This should be a kill, as Dignitas are very far from collapsing.
They take the turret down first, and now Gamsu alone gets Helios to help him out, but it's still a 2v3. Buster Shot gets away from Helios, and Rampage for Hanser as he does knock down the top laner after Gamsu flashed out. Not much of a need for that, and Gravity off that have the chance to push farther.
All right, melt the turret, swing on up to the next secondary turret, and Gravity just going to collect basically everything on the map worth money.
Yeah, they put some jungle away. They're going to push out the mid lane. Blue buff has respawned, allowing that to go easily over to Keen. They can set up Baron as well. Looks like that's where many of the members of the team are headed. One last recall for Move. He's got to have a little bit of money worth spending here.
Shifter going to try and hold on to one piece of Dignitas territory, set up the Azir turret. But there's honestly not much they can do with that outpost. They could try and get down the mid lane outer turret, but it's going to be very, very difficult. Altec's already completed Static Shiv. That Tristana wave clear is more than enough.
Yeah, seems like it. And with Static Shave, that definitely helps, of course. Mid lane pushed in one more time. Moves recall was heading towards Locket, plus getting the upgraded sweeper here, so vision control can get even better for the Gravity squad. They're actually sitting, even Altec got an upgraded sweeper here. They are dead set on crushing as many wards as possible. Double Sightstone, 4 sweepers, upgraded warding totem for the top laner.
I have to say, this game just bodes so well for this split, this Gravity's, new Gravity's team's summer split here. I mean,
Yeah.
we were looking for consistency from them. The game yesterday, it's very hard. Not only is it very hard for Bunny to step into the shot calling role very quickly, but as Meteos and many others have echoed, shot calling from an early deficit like they encountered after that one 4-on-4 skirmish in the jungle is really, really difficult. This game, they've been slow-paced, methodical, and executed mostly on pace. So good showing here from Gravity.
And you got to ask, you know, both these teams, of course, are on trial. Gravity, again, playing a good control game by and large and growing a slow lead, taking objectives on cooldown. Dignitas, the question for them is how well they play from behind. They did just fine against Team Solo Mid yesterday, but Gravity has yet to make the same kinds of errors that let Dignitas in. We know that they are tenacious if something does happen, and so with all the flashes and all the cooldowns up except for Gamsu's, maybe we see that hyphy move.
All right, well, we're looking at Kiwi Kid then. He's the one to make it happen. He has Distortion upgrade, so he can burn this flash and have the cooldown reduced. They definitely need all 5 members ready for him to make the play, though, because Annie, with so much move speed, and her flash can get out ahead of the rest of the team. Everybody needs to be on the same page, ready to capitalize on her stun. To try and make up for this giant gold deficit that they're working with.
Yeah. What actually concerns me a bit about this sort of Annie combo is there's not a lot of damage on the lineup that isn't just Azir. Because Cordier so far behind, he's still trying to scale up into items.
True.
You stun someone and then you do like a third of their health. And then Azir wants to keep attacking, but the stun's gone. And someone disengages really cleanly. So it will, I think, require a pretty big numbers lead for Dignitas to have those fights happen.
They do have 2 pure tanks on their team.
Yeah. Leaf Sooner Hulk does some damage, but much less as of like 5.8 or so. Yep. And we'll see. Gravity still playing the wave for their game. They're playing mostly around Keen. They've got decent wards to let him split push. There's the ping. They know Annie's coming over, so he gets some damage. Walks back out. Hansu's going to home guard down the mid lane.
I mean, it's so easy for Gravity. They have 2 extremely strong solo laners. Just continue the split push. Their AD carry is a god of wave clear, just on the mid lane. And they should just be able to keep up the 1-3-1. And as we said, continue to drain the map of resources.
Yeah.
Take all neutral objectives.
And with all the wards they can put down, they eventually create this area of blackout around Baron. And right now they think they've done it. There's the brush bait. They say, hey, Dignitas, remember these Barons? These things that have haunted you for most of your life? Well, you want to check into this one? Because we might be around. Helios actually not burrowed, but blue trinket used by Core JJ. There's a 90 or 2-minute cooldown. And they're going to clear away a Spectre. And then this ward from Kiwi Kid will get swept. And once again, Gravity can play the exact same game, this time without all the cooldowns left.
Well, with the Scrying Orb used, they could actually transition into actually taking down the Baron right now. But they do not feel like they have sufficient deep wards to see the approach. I feel like that was maybe a missed opportunity.
Yeah, Kiwi Kid had to recall. He was out of Sightstone charges. That was his last ward.
Yeah, if you see the Scrying Orb get used like that and no movement from the Dignitas squad, that may be an opportunity. Even though this game's going so well for Gravity, you always want to look back at even the wins and see where there are moments where you could have executed better, because you're going to face stiffer and stiffer competition. Of course, Gravity's goal, as is pretty much every North American LCS team, is to get to the top.
Yeah.
Not just stay in the league.
Gravity right now with a win here would put themselves within 1 game of the top, and what a great turnaround that would be where they're serious contenders for the throne. But so far, it's been pretty good for Gravity. Dragon will go down. That is number 4. That one, I think, took less than 10 seconds.
Yes.
So it's getting faster.
All right. That puts us on track for that 36-minute number 5 then. And that is so much easier. The risk around taking that is almost nothing for Gravity.
Yeah.
So compared to Baron, they can have a very easy path. They can just wait that 6 minute out and just take that.
They're almost more likely to slow down because of it. Now that it's so close away, they're like, look, if nothing happens for 6 minutes, we practically win the game.
Yeah.
So let's hope nothing happens. Inertia might be a good thing for Gravity, though.
All right, well, let's see if they can, if Dignitas can shake things up and force some action. They do not want to wait around.
Yeah, they might need to accelerate this.
Yeah. If they continue to wait around, it's just going to be fighting Dragon 5 and Baroned up Gravity. Rek'Sai ultimate, maybe this is the time. Negative.
Nope. Farm alarm. Headed back to the jungle.
Move is not exactly the champion they want to catch out and burst down.
They'd have a hard time with that one. He's going towards Locket. Not done yet, so at least that's a saving grace for Dignitas, but he's pretty much close to that combined here. I think he's actually within like 50 gold of it.
They're forcing something here. Some action will take place because they've called Gamsu up. They're no longer answering Haunter's split push.
Nice.
He's going back to get home guard boost for his teleport, actually.
And Dignitas got a little antsy. Gamsu popped the Righteous Glory, did not find the engage on a move.
Look how many wards there are possible for Haunter to teleport in with home guard.
Oh, man. Right, but do you want to flank with Rumble? He has Zhonya's after all, but, oh, they catch us some damage to Gamsu. He, again, is the tankiest member on this Dignitas lineup. The rest of the team will converge. 2 in the mid lane, 3 in this river here.
Move once a piece. All right, he's getting bored.
He wants to move. It's in his name.
Well, look how they've been able to gain position on the mid lane here.
Really nice. That's going to go down fast. Oh, they can't quite stay. Kiwikin gets the stun. Can they kill off Altec? Bunny Fufu down a little bit of health, but not enough damage comes through. There's just no burst on this lineup.
The duo tanks have to collapse immediately after that Annie stun. It's so late now.
Oh man, the bounce house into the back line. Down goes Annie. There's going to be more soon. Shifter falls. Core JJ also going to drop out. And it's a 4-0 last man alive is Gamsu. Altec does not die. Turret goes down. Ace for Gravity in 32 minutes, and they're going to push into the base.
All right, they should be able to get the inhibitor off that fairly easily as well. Gravity finally crack open Dignitas base. Let's see if they go for the end.
I think they can. You got 20 seconds on most of the damage-dealing members. In comes Bunny Fufu to tank it up. Keen is gonna die. Ruins his fantasy score, his first and only death of the game. The base did, but Dignitas could not. Pie in the sky, 3-1 for Gravity. Are gonna try to close down onto the Nexus, but hold on. Dignitas respawn in time, and the lack of Keen is actually enough for the base to not fall down. And Rek'Sai is on the flank. Gamsu has TP, he pops it. Can they catch any of Gravity on the way out? This is how Dignitas beat TSM, just some kind of catch, but no one's in range to stun Gravity.
Maokai's headed around, does have Righteous Glory ready. There it is.
It gets popped, a great barrel by move. The slow last 2 seconds. Equalizer just says no, thank you. Wow.
Well,
all right.
Dignitas are able to pass them on the inside track, but that's not what they were looking for. No kills achieved. Outer turret still stands, and Gravity finds safety.
Haunter's chilling. Now he's like very alone, by the way, but nothing picked up here. Gravity are trying to get Dragon 5 on the field. Dignitas trying to stop that.
Yeah, I mean, they can get a Scuttle Crab, and maybe they can get Haunter.
Oh, yeah. No ulti, he's got flash, but he's surrounded. I don't see how he gets away from this one.
Save it.
Oh, Core JJ.
Oh, he didn't get the cannon. He was trying to get that cannon minion before he died.
Oh, wow. Helios waiting in the wings in case there's a counter gank. There is not, because Baron's happening on the other side of the map. Gravity happy to take what they can with everyone else on the wrong side of the map. That's going to be a clean take, and you got a minute 20 till Baron. That's going to be easy.
Yeah, Dragon number 5, pretty close, but they've got Baron buff. They're shoving in for the win here. Dignitas down Gravity straight down mid lane.
Well, Haunter has teleport, so 18 seconds till it's 5 people, 4 versus 5, just to take the Nexus. Running forward, Shifter summons a turret, but that doesn't keep the Nexus alive. Shifter gets killed off by Altec, but it's a 4 versus 4. Haunter gonna respawn in 2 seconds from now. They get TP in afterwards. Dignitas still wanting to fight. Here's the TP in. It'll be a 5v4 with Baron buff in Gravity's favor. They don't want to do battle. They will knock down Helios on the backside. There's the hook on a Gamsu trying to escape through some minions. Fate's Call keeps Kiwi Kid alive, but here they go. Down goes Gamsu, 4-17, and Gravity will move on to a tie for second place with this win.
Oof, what a clean win from Gravity as well. Probably the most impressive one, at least this split, maybe of their entire time in the LCS. This is their first year. Still a fairly new team with some very big changes in the offseason as well, and definitely one of the teams that's been able to handle roster swaps with the smoothest transition.
Yeah, once again, you got to see this team play to their strengths. Their weaknesses generally not abused. They did well in lanes. They knocked some turrets down. They kept the gold lead and grew it slowly over time and said, Dragon's ours, Dragon's ours, Dragon's ours, Dragon's ours. Oh, we can out-rotate you for the mid lane, and got so much out of it.
Yeah, they definitely could have been a little bit more aggressive when they had that much control, but they're very happy to take home this win. They got the early kills this time handed to them rather than having to work with that early deficit from 5 minutes or so.
Yeah.
The top lane move from Dignitas, diving at level 5, not able to come back from it.
And that just seems so reckless to me. I don't know if that was a Helios call saying I think we can do this in the 3v2 because we're up a person, but it did not work out the way they wanted. We see so many games happening where an early tower dive just does not do what you want it to. We saw, you talked about that with Gravity versus CLG, went on the way of CLG very easily. We saw that Enemy Esports against Team Liquid. Enemy Esports threw away 3 kills on a tower dive. Dignitas does the same thing here. I do like aggressive teams, but it feels like Team Impulse is the only team that actually does it with the right amount of risk assessment, where it actually comes out positive more often than not.
Yep. Gonna need to work on that skill. Pretty much all teams. It's very difficult one to come by.
Yeah. Okay, so as these teams do develop their skills, though, we have Gravity and Dignitas both now at 4-2. They are in a tie for second place. We will have CLG playing the next match. They're at 4-1 right now. Maybe they join the tie, or maybe they join Team Liquid in first place here.
Right. If we could have Team Liquid standing alone in first place the end of the day today. If CLG are not able to take down Enemy.
Yeah, and then instead we have the gigantic tie for second place.
Then
like
we would have
practically half the league here, and that'll be a fun one. Either way, for more, we're going to send it down to Riv, who's with Gravity's coach.
Thank you very much, gents. And I am joined by Gravity's Cop down on stage after their victory. Now at 4-2 on the season, or the split, I should say. Not too bad. You guys are definitely coming out very strong. And I kind of want to get your take on it. Stepping back from the AD carry position, we've heard a bit of All-Tech in the videos that we've shown and how the transition has been for him. But how has giving up that position been for you? A role that you can impact the game, and now you kind of watch from the backside.
I think it's really good for our team, or good for me, just because Alltech has a similar playstyle as me, and so I can teach him just simple things to improve. I understand like what he's thinking in game, and I don't know. It also gives me the freedom to coach and like do what I really want to do too.
Now, coming in as a coach, are there any kind of worries that have been tacked onto that? You see that other teams are still doing things well that you guys are trying to catch up on. Or are you actually happy with the growth right now? I'm
actually really happy with the growth, just because I don't know. I feel like we're pretty clean on the early game, and like every rotation that we need to do, how we react to like a 2v1, pretty much like every scenario, they seem pretty prepared for. So I think we're doing pretty good right now.
And obviously being the AD carrier player yourself, how much do you offer to the other players on the team about their roles, about positioning, or do you kind of leave that up to the analysts?
For like Keen and Move, I kind of let them work together just because Move doesn't speak very good English, and so they just help each other. And then if I have like a question, I'll just get Keen to translate for me. And then I pretty much work with everyone like at the same level, but Bunny I work on with more just because we're trying to get him shot calling, and that's my main focus.
Definitely a difficult thing to kind of instill into somebody, but it's been going well even with switching up the roster. Final question for you guys looking forward. Team 8, Team Solo mid next week. How are you feeling about those matchups?
I think we have a lot to learn this week, but we feel pretty confident against them.
All right, Cop, congratulations on the win for the team. Hope you guys can keep the record going. Right now we're going to throw it to the analyst desk to break down that game and a bit more.
Thank you, Riv. A slow bleed there for Dignitas, really showing how comfortable Gravity can play when they have that gold lead.
Yeah, they were picking up every dragon, and they really had the control of the game with. They put Altic in a side lane, and he just keeps knocking down turrets once they got an advantage. Once the IE and the Zeal were in, he was just going to be the demolitionist role of Tristana, and then they were going to 4-1 split push. And every time you try to trade an objective against that 4-1 split push with Tristana, you're giving up that objective faster, and then he gets more CS on top of it. If you trade kills in the 4-on-4, then it's just an overall good trade for Gravity, and that's what kept happening to make this advantage just expand and balloon.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's 2 games in a row now we've seen Trist, and we're kind of seeing the reason that people would ever pick Tristana is because when you do get that advantage, being able to push down the turrets is pretty advantageous, and it's been credit to Gravity in this game and Team Liquid in the previous game to actually get to the point where they can abuse that incredibly quick turret killing ability.
Yeah, and what's interesting is on the other side of the map, we have Dignitas, who were struggling with those early deficits, but I want to look at the integration of Helios, because we bring him in, and we've had 1 successful game, 1 unsuccessful game in terms of win-loss, but the pressure has been somewhat lacking.
Yeah, early game pressure on Rek'Sai. I mean, even though they won the game against TSM, like the first gank as him as a Dignitas jungler was like 17 minutes into the game in the bottom lane. This game felt somewhat similar as he just didn't have much of an impact early. I'll give him a break. I'll cut him some slack because he hasn't been playing professionally since he got relegated. And I know he's had a lot of decision making to do. You know, he said was thinking of joining the military, but he still really thinks he can make it to Worlds. And I think it's going to take a little bit of time for him to integrate because he's a very experienced player, and I think he's just a little rusty.
Yeah, he can kind of like merge with what Azingi was doing for the team in their 3 victories. Will have that early game aggression. There's a lot of examples of how to pull that off that I think he can look at and be like, this is how I should gank for core JJ's lane. This is how I should get in on these. So there's a lot of growth that can happen there and a lot of improvement, and I don't think that it's not going to happen.
Yeah, another thing we saw here in this game was the J4. What's interesting is that there were so many. There's actually so many members out there on the field that could have played that. Gomsu's played it in the top lane, Moves played it in the jungle, but instead we see it go into the mid lane this time.
Suddenly Jarvan is the greatest flex pick of all time with these teams. But it's a keen type champion is in the fact that you don't see many people play in the mid lane. And I said after Champ Select that I actually really liked the matchup against Azir. It's something I experienced a little bit early on with Azir when Jarvan was still a big time jungler like in solo queue and you'd build Ravenous Hydra. Because once you build a little bit of damage onto Jarvan, he can pretty much just chaos dunk Azir anytime he wants. And we ended up seeing that over and over again where the Azir would just get completely blown up because Keen was just AD Jarvan. And it's easy.
And it wasn't always the Azir either. It was like, oh, whoever's here, just take that, Annie, take that. And it was awesome to watch that. Just once he got ahead and snowballed, pushing the advantage from Gravity was something they did very crisply.
Yeah, I do want to jump into our replay. We're going to 33 minutes into the game in the mid lane, and this is Dignitas looking for somewhat of a desperation engagement here, but in a sense, not respecting this damage that can come out of the Jarvan. So, Jat, we're going to throw this up on your screen. I'm going to let you take this one.
Yeah, and this was also a pretty poor play by Team Dignitas to eventually roll into this fight because they'd been waiting for so long to find a fight that they kind of overcommitted in this sense. So they did get a flash Tibbers and they thought they caught all tech, but once that initiation didn't happen, Team Dignitas should have stopped. Now they are exposing themselves to the Jarvan flank, which is pretty immense. They click on Shifter, knock him up not once but twice, and even though, you know, he flashes away, he's really not able to do that much more. The dunk goes through. Emperor's Divide late. By the way, Jarvan can ult through the Emperor's Divide because the Jarvan ultimate is immune to CC while he's channeling it, so they just easily ace them, mainly because the beginning initiation there from Kiwi Kid failed, and Dignitas failed to respect the Jarvan.
Yeah, there's some really good signs of life there for Dignitas, though, because yesterday they won off of decisiveness in their calls, and right there, they saw Jarvan go bottom. They're like, oh, 4-on-5, rush the mid, rush up the gut. It's what worked yesterday, and it was really kind of Gravity just playing dead for them. And then they all collapsed, and that's really what it is. So, like, Dignitas, good job there with the decisiveness that they are going to fight this, but it was good by Gravity to bait it out.
Yeah, so some learning points there for Dignitas out of this game. Solid victory for Gravity, walking away, moving up the standing. We still got more action coming your way. Up next, it's Counterlogic Gaming as they take on Enemy Esports. Stay with us.
By weird, I mean their comp will look a lot better probably, but we'll win because we're better.
Are you sure about that?
Yes, we'll win
They are
because we're
kind
better.
of first place and beat TSM yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then we saw
Funny
the
Fufu
top
has aggro and he's getting exploded. The Annie stun plus the turret damage will not quite take him down.
I have ulti, so you guys ready?
I'm going. Okay, nice. Azir, careful.
Azira's nothing, Azira's nothing. Azira's barrier.
Nice. Maokai up here, Maokai up here.
Yeah. Maokai.
I don't want ulti, I don't want ulti.
Zero.
Slowly, Maokai.
Back. I want to back.
Okay, I'm back.
Man, the bounce house into the back line. Down goes Annie. There's going to be more soon. Shifter falls. Core JJ also going to drop out. Gravity will move on to a tie for second place with this win.